I'm gonna be like marketing genius and sandwich maker.
Let's do it. I like that.
You ready?
Yeah, we're good. Let's go.
All right. This is Inside with Outsiders. My name is Jeremy Asgari, and today we have Roman Grandinetti here. He's someone whose creative genius I admire a lot. You know him from Regina's, from Connected. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if you're going to make it here because I knew you're a busy man.
I was a little worried, but I kept my. This was a priority for me, and I mean our relationship goes back. So
yeah,
it's an investment.
Thinking about when I first met you, I'm pretty sure it was because I could tie it back to Ani Quinn. Ani Quinn introduced me to Sinatra, and then Anthony Vitale. And Anthony Vitale, I think, connected us somehow. I think I was doing a party, or he sent you over.
Yeah.
It
was probably that's how I kind of like snuck in.
Yeah.
I sat next to Anthony. Actually, Ani Quinn in the beginning was the most welcoming human to a DJ booth for me in so many different ways. Vitale made sure that I knew how to DJ, otherwise he would never allow me in the nightclub.
Of course.
And that was the duo that pushed me and allowed the doors to be open to me in nightclubs. So that was definitely it.
Ani's such a good, positive dude.
Yeah,
and
he's
beyond
amazing.
that, his history in nightlife is crazy.
Crazy.
I had a guy we grew up with. Me and Chris grew up together. And I think Anthony Solari, this kid that was one of the, there's all those kids in your high school that go out to the clubs when they're 15, but they make it. He's a dancer.
Okay.
And he was telling me, oh, you work with Ani Quinn? I remember him spinning at Limelight or the Tunnel in 94 or something like that. It was insane.
Yeah, he's part of New York in so many different ways. It's crazy.
For sure.
He welcomed me. I sat next to him, I remember, in PM for hours and hours and hours.
I met one of my best friends through Ani at PM on a Sunday night.
Yeah. That was a time. It was the place to be, whether you were listening to get in or whatever. And it was also just like a way in for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have gotten in.
That's literally how we are where we are now is through the School of Hard Knocks and nightlife, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, it taught me how to do marketing because we essentially had the same product we had to work with every night in and night out, which is a party. And there were tweaks that were different from each party, but having to make each night seem like a unique experience took marketing savvy and promotional savvy, and learning how to do that was a challenge.
Yeah.
And now, people know you from Regina's and Connected, but I think maybe more as the face of Regina's. It's named after your mom, right?
Correct.
So it's a Italian deli and market, because he's more than just a sandwich maker and food, right? You saw Italian products. Proud Italian American right here.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing, your knowledge about brands. I didn't know what your background was before. I didn't realize you went to high school in a creative high school, right?
Yeah. Art and design with Jerome Lamar was there as well. Yeah.
I believe it's
Fab.
Yeah.
Tons of them were there. Kenneth Cole. I don't want to mess up any of the names. I haven't gone down memory lane in a long time, but tremendous. Yeah. Also just people from New York.
Yeah.
Super kids that are in and tied into tons of stuff that we are doing today. Mm-hmm. And we were lucky. Oh, Ferg, which I speak to consistently. But
did you met ASAP Ferg in high school?
Yeah, he was a junior varsity and I was on a varsity basketball team.
Oh, you played ball too? That's right. You played ball once together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, he was super talented. His father's an amazing artist and owns owns a huge pedestal in this market as well.
What kind of artist is his dad?
His dad designed a number of logos for tremendous hip hop artists. Yeah, I don't want to miss the mark, but I know there's some heavy hitters that we grew up with and continue to speak about every day. But from my remembering, I remember that was his thing, and his dad was a logo designer.
I think it's incredible, your knowledge and I guess your taste when it comes to brands, right?
Thank you.
I watch. Listen, you could have taken the route of just making a sandwich shop and making sandwiches, and that being your revenue, and just advertising sandwiches. And we discussed this before the cameras came on. If you're able to nail down a lifestyle brand and tie the brand identity to people's the way of living, I think that's a win. And you nailed it. I mean, what you're talking about, taking from, I don't know if we can have this out in public yet, but taking from these old movies, gangster movies, and I follow your Instagram, and I'm always looking at the aesthetic you're choosing, and it's spot on to what you've created. Or maybe I associate that because I know you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best way, or that's what I live by.
Yeah.
From all the companies I've started and have luckily been involved in, I built a box. And it was a little bit of not having discipline, I think, growing up and coming from the school that we've come up in.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have discipline. So I've learned that a discipline was extremely valuable. And then I learned to stretch that box as big as I physically can, but without breaking the rules of the four corners.
Yeah.
And I think that was where I see myself as being the most successful. And not saying like a pat on my back, but saying like I do the most successful work within those four walls.
And what do you attribute that success to?
Really having a respect for what I do. I think that's a huge thing. I've never really done anything that I didn't know or could almost do myself. It was also just because in starting your own business, you don't want to be full of shit, right? Like I want to be able to do something and I want to be able to talk on that thing because I believe in it and I really care about it. Mm-hmm. So I've realized that I'm like extremely OCD and neurotic, and I am rough around the edges for sure. Right. But when I have an opinion on something, it's true. I do believe in it, whether it's, you know, a made up idea or whatever it may be. And I had this vision. I saw Regina's as Regina's before it was ever created.
It's funny, and that's the only way you can be successful. If you see the steps it takes to get to where it is, you need to know what your vision is in order to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's kind of where, you know, all this stuff stems from. And I think authenticity has been, you know, what I've kept in my back pocket forever, or just like a little bit of like I don't want to say education. I didn't go far. I went to high school and that was it. But
what you went to art performing high school,
art and design.
So what did you study? You had to choose a medium, right?
Yeah. So I did. It was advertising and marketing, and I went in for advertising and marketing, and I was an extreme nerd.
In high school?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. There's George Lois, who I got to meet, actually, was one of the most impactful people to me in the world. And I was a nerd. I didn't look like someone that investigated so much in things in that world. And he was unbelievable, and he was like an idol to me. And I was like, oh, this is like the guy that I want to be.
You want to tell people who he is?
George Lois, he was the guy who created all the covers of Esquire magazine back in the day, from the open Campbell soup can to, he did a logo 40 times square, and I'll never forget the logo. And it was a 40X square, and he like mocked it up, and it was like an ultra modern looking logo, probably 50 years ago. And it stuck in my head so much. But he was such a New Yorker. Yeah. And his thing was that he could sell anything in this world. He nailed a client one day because it was in Chicago. And I remember the client saying, like, you were too far. He got on a plane. The phone call was at 8 a.m. He got on the plane at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and was in Chicago by 1 o'clock. He was like, do you take me serious now? Right. And he landed that client. He was like the original Mad Men.
Right.
But he was such a New York dude, and he's still like floating around. His company is called, I think, Karma Creative now, and I think his son is involved. But he's like a legend. And long story short, I had 50 of those in my pocket, alongside of 50 graffiti artists. And
50 what in your pocket?
Like 50 like of those people. Yeah. So I loved, you know, whether it was George Lois, a Stephen Powers, a Cause. I was super into these things, and that's what kind of drove my like advertising dreams and goals and focus.
Right.
Not my studies so much, but
when you finished high school, what were you doing then? What was your goal? Like, you said you had these visions, but did you know how to get to that?
I didn't know how to put them together. Yeah. I was lost. I didn't do like business where I think I would have been more successful. I think there was a time in my heart where I wanted to be a stockbroker because I was like, listen, I could sell anyone anything. Yeah. I was doing promoting for 100 years prior to that. I was like teen night promoter.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did me and my very, very good friend who's unbelievable in this business and was super, super diehard, owns tech support today, and Rob T. We met in a pizzeria, and he changed my life super young. He believed in me, and he was like, yo, you could bring out 50 people to a disagreement. We bumped heads when we were 13. Yeah. And he kind of got me into he took me out of Bensonhurst. And he was like, there's a huge world out there. So I was always a promoter. I was making side money. I knew how to like finagle some business, but no, I had no idea. But I was always gung-ho to be like an entrepreneur.
So Bensonhurst is where you're from, born and raised?
Bensonhurst is, I wear it on my back proudly.
Yeah. You tatted up?
No, but I keep that. everywhere I go, I mean, that's a big thing for me. Bensonhurst, I'm super prideful of where I'm from, and my father's from there. And I'm very, very happy to be where I'm from and happy to have left.
How many generations? It's key. How many generations in the States?
We are 2 generations in the States.
Do you speak Italian?
I don't. I understand what I'm not supposed to, but I'm learning. I'm learning where I can. I barely speak English, man.
Was that?
I barely speak English correctly.
I speak Bensonhurst, Brooklyn,
yeah, exactly.
Right? It's very unique. You and Chris will get along fine. He speaks, what do we call it, Hudson County, New Jersey?
Pretty much.
There we go.
It's the same. It's like a different dialect. We
exactly.
Each other.
It's our own dialect. It's okay.
Yeah. So what would you say was like finishing in high school? What did you do right away? You were promoting.
Finishing high school, I was in the sneaker game. Crazy. I was selling and reselling sneakers early on.
How'd you get the money for that? Through the promoting stuff?
Yeah, I did whatever I could. I was a real knucklehead on the street for a long time, and I did whatever I could. And I just took all of those practices and figured, if I bought 1 pair of sneakers and I saved what I made, I could buy 3. And
I see what you did.
So on and so forth. Yeah. So I just used, basic math from other things to get into another world. And I really, really loved sneakers, started reselling. Fashion and clubs were so closely together. So if I was like, come out on Friday night, it was also a second sale for like a sneaker, whatever it may have you. And I turned sneakers and clubs into a sneaker event. And I did a sneaker event when I was really, really young called Sold Out, SOLED out. And I took all the kids from my school to kind of help me design this event. It was on Elizabeth Street. This is probably 25 years ago, dude. We did great. We did 600 people. I had kids selling sneakers. I caught wind of the music business and a company called A Bathing Ape.
Yeah.
I was the 5th employee for Bathing Ape in the U.S.
What did you do for them?
I was just a sales
Retail?
associate.
Yeah.
And then that actually opened up tremendous doors for me on Green.
Yeah, exactly.
It opened up tremendous doors for me in nightclubs because all the nightclub owners and promoters wanted to have us because we were like a little bit of a circus act.
I mean, it was the Pharrell.
It was everything.
Cosign.
Yeah, it was everything. So I took that. A gentleman of Stephen Rifkin walked in the door one day, and his wife at the time, or significant other at the time, was really adamant about him getting a discount because every other rapper in the world was getting a discount.
Yeah.
She was walking around saying no one knew who he was. Again, with me having these people in my pocket, Steve Rifkin was the best marketer in music that I ever thought. And I knew who he was. Yeah. But he also started Wu-Tang, and he owned Loud Records. Mm-hmm. But he also owned still Steve Rifkin Company and Loud Marketing, Helly Hansen, and tons of people. So when I saw him, I almost I didn't know what to do. To me, it was like my way in. She asked for a discount, and I asked for a job. 3 days later, I was at Universal Music Group.
Really?
Yeah, and I worked for Steve Rifkin, and he changed my life.
That's that local New York, Bensonhurst, Brooklyn hustle. I mean, see an opportunity to take advantage of it. A lot of people might not even open their mouth.
Yeah, well, I had one shot, and to be honest with you, at the time, so many people were doing it. I hired Kid Cudi. Yeah. He walked in, he said his name was Kid Cudi. I was hysterical laughing. I was like, dude, what is your name? You need to fill out your application and put your name on this damn paper. Yeah. And he was Kid Cudi already. And it was just so many of those opportunities where people were taking, these advantages. I mean, I have a relationship with Fabulous to this day because of Bathing Ape. I've met everyone in the world through those doors, and it really helped. And then Steve opened up the world to me, gave me an opportunity, and I turned the sneaker event into a local magazine called Connected, and he supported me.
That was the start of Connected.
And then that was the start of Connected.
So what did you do in the music industry?
I was packing records outside of his office to give DJs records because at the same time I was doing the DJ, learning how to be a DJ. Yeah. So I was like, yo, this is my way in.
That's so funny. Remember Anthony Martini's story? Yeah. Anthony Martini? No. Anthony Martini used to manage a ton of artists, Tyga, Lil Dicky. He has his own record label. Basically, I knew him from before he started in the music industry. He was like a hardcore singer, right? Rapcore called a band called E-Town. And when he realized there was no solid future in doing that, he got a job in the music industry, like packing boxes to send off to ship. I forgot what he was doing.
I did the same shit.
Thing. And then he realized he learned the business a little bit. And long story short, he took it from there to then managing artists to then opening his own record label called The Commission. Cool. Which is a name that I'm sure you guys recognize from the old school mafia shit.
Yeah, of course.
And he sold that for, I don't know, over $20 million.
Amazing.
And he's still CEO, and his story is amazing, but it's kind of, you guys, I'm surprised you guys don't know each other. He opened Drip Coffee on, like,
cool.
That, I mean, closed since, but I'll connect you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how it started. Steve believed in me. Yeah, he gave me an opportunity. I was doing the events at the same time. I sat outside his office, and every time I heard an opportunity where I had an idea, I ran in the office. Yeah. And by the 5th run-in, he was like, "What are you doing here?" Yeah. And I was like, you hired me from Bathing Ape, and I pack records for the music department, and I want to be involved. He was like, "All right, from now on, you sit here." And he started letting me in his office. He introduced me to Mark Echo. He got me involved with every team, every marketing team. And he believed in me. He put people on the cover, and he opened up the doors for Universal to me. He gave me the keys to 1755, and I worked with 50. Everyone I could in that building, I've worked with at a young age. And then I outgrew the label, and then we turned the magazine into the agency.
That's admirable, because if I look at my perspective now, is that I don't know if I would have gone. I had an internship at New America Agency, Andre Harrell and Brett Wright. If I had ideas, I wouldn't have thought to tell these guys, But I admire the fact that you're like, I'm just going to tell them,
Yeah, well, I figure like I had nothing to lose and all the world to gain. And I was like, yo, this guy started out similar to me, where he was like, yo, I'm going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. And he believed in like these like wacky groups. So I was like, yo, I always got a wacky idea. Right. I was a graffiti head. And I was pretty like, I always was hustling in the label to like, I didn't feel like I was out of place. I was getting kids sneakers. I was trying to hook DJs up at nightclubs and whatever.
You provided value for yourself, right?
Yeah. So I was like, yo, if I ask, it's not like I'm going to be like kicked out. Right. They're like, oh, not today, kid, but I still want to go to the club tonight. I was like, all right, no doubt. Right. Like, you got to talk to me regardless.
What was your graffiti tag?
I wrote Rome.
Rome?
Yeah.
I wonder if my brother knows. My brother was a graffiti artist. What was the crews? AIDS crew. What else? Do you remember? Yeah, a bunch of these.
There's a ton of New York crews. Yeah. I was always good enough to hang out next to someone that had a book that was proper, and I had enough balls to go in the train station and stuff like that. I just didn't. It wasn't, to be honest with you, it didn't make me any money.
I mean,
so for me, I was just like, yo, this isn't going to work. And I don't think at the time there was the people hitting canvases and making money in that world. Like,
were you actually an artist too, drawing stuff? You're creative, obviously.
Yeah. I've drawn for years, and that's how I got into art and design. I actually got in trouble for graffiti, and my dad was like, "Oh, you're gonna take art tests. Like, when you love graffiti, you love doing all this shit. Just take a specialized exam and get out of here."
Makes sense. And coming up to this interview, I was wondering if you were. I knew you went art and design, so I was wondering if you were drawing.
Yeah.
So you started Connected. How'd you get this first clients, and what were your clients like? What were you doing with Connected? And how old were you then? Because I remember, wanting to do marketing, and it wasn't until I put the time in and got a bunch of no's and fucked shit up until I really figured out what was working that I started getting clients.
So I was probably around 22 years old, 23 years old, where what I started to do is I saw this gap in the market where guerrilla advertising was super valuable. They couldn't put a price on it, and they didn't know how to like really, really sell it. And the only way to sell it, because it was such a gray area, was what you had to be on the inside. Mm-hmm. So my cousin at the time owned a printing press in Long Island called Agricolor. He's the man, and he's helped me and listened to me 150 times, way over. But he could print anything and do anything. So the wheat pasting world was like in front of me, and I kept hearing about it in marketing things. And I was like, yo, like when the opportunity comes, like let me do a wheat pasting job and I'll figure it out. Yeah. They were like, how? I was like, don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. Yeah. So I took Graffiti Kids. We took wheat paste. My cousin printed the posters, and I took my first job.
Yeah.
And I undercut the job. It was horrible. I should have charged way more, but I did it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And then I became an asset to people in the weed pasting world. And then when there was no budget, I was like, yo, how could I redo what we're already doing to make it still valuable for you? So I broke the rules. I would cut a poster, make it a big sticker, and put 10 out. I would do this I would just do random, like, wacky things. I loved stickers. Stickers were huge. At the time, there was kids selling sticker packs on eBay, but they were free stickers, and I was infatuated with that.
Okay.
Like, kids would go around, go to Supreme, go to DQM, go to all these places, take all the free stickers, put them in a Ziploc bag, go on eBay, sell it for $25 with $15 shipping, and make $50 for free. And I was like, yo, this is an unbelievable business. This is how you do marketing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, let's just sticker. Let's get out there. Yeah. Let's do it. And I just employed all my boys that did graffiti. And I was like, yo, if you're going to go out and go take a tag, here's $15. Like, every poster you put up,
yeah,
I'll give you money.
Right.
And we did this like little like circle of us that like switched and did our thing. And then it turned into painting murals. We started hand painting murals. Really? And I have done a mural for The Gap, was a monster client. Bob Dylan is the opportunity that changed my life.
How so?
I had this idea to do this thing called sound graffiti. And I wanted to place sound bites in the street. I was working or trying to work for this company, pitch a client called Play Button at the time. And it was a wearable button that had MP3 on it.
Okay.
I thought it was like going to break the internet.
Okay.
I actually spoke to Scooter Braun because he was in 1755 at the time. And I was like, yo, if you sell this in Japan with Justin Bieber, you'll sell 50 million.
Right.
Everybody hated it. Everybody thought it was corny. I was like some like Hot Topic clown kid. It didn't work, but I was pushing this thing hard. And people listened to me because I was doing cool shit. Long story short, I was like, you know what? It's not going to work. So what I want to do is, Rocky was coming out with an album. No one cared about me at Universal. And I did this thing. I wrote this thing up called Sound Graffiti. And it was, you pick locations all around the city that were inspirational to you. And we would put a sound bite there. And kids would be able to guerrilla and go listen to it.
Right.
I would drill them into the wall. I was going nuts.
Yeah.
I like really believed in this plan. Long story short, it didn't make it to Rocky. It got to Bob Dylan's camp. And
really?
Bob Dylan took it. And I wanted to do 25 locations. This maniac did 100.
Wow.
And his management team loved it. And they were like, yo, we're going to target every single location in the country, in America. They went way overboard. They gave me a check that changed my life at the time. And I developed this like geolocational app that you were allowed to listen to sound bites through like augmented reality years ago.
How old were you when you came up with this?
I was like 24 years old.
That's crazy. If I'm thinking about what my thought process at 24, wasn't that?
Man, the craziest thing about the story is I was literally in tears in the train station at Broadway Lafayette. I had an office that I was defaulting on Canal Street, and I had change in my pocket at the time. And I was putting, people that remember buying Metro cards, yeah. I was putting nickels. Yeah, right, those are the best. I was putting nickels and dimes into the MetroCard machine. And at the time, they didn't read dimes and nickels well. So it came back out.
Yeah.
So I had to put $2.50 in for nickels and dimes. So I'm at 30 coins, let's say. So they kept spitting out and spitting out and spitting out. I didn't really have any other money at that time. I was like, this is how I'm going to get on the train. And it was a shitty time up there. And I remember I was like, people were yelling at me like, get the fuck off the line. We got to go. Long story short, I took the train, Columbus Circle. I got to 1755. I didn't get what I wanted. We got to Sony, and I got a phone call like on the way out. And they were like, yo, like, we love it. We want to do this. We want to do this immediately. How fast can you turn this on? And I remember walking from Sony, I believe it was on Madison Avenue at the time, right around the corner from Tourneau. The building is done. I walked from there all the way home with like my head in the clouds because A, I was scared to get on the train again. And B, I was like, yo, I can't believe we did it. And that was a turning point for the business. And that kind of turned all our engines on. And we were kids, so we were super scrappy.
Right.
So the check changed our lives for, I guess, the year.
Damn, that's a great story.
Long one, but it was good.
No, it's a good one. And it gives me an idea of where you started. Because I only knew you from running the nightclubs. I knew everyone has their own agenda in nightclubs. It's rare that you meet somebody in a nightclub who's just focused on nightlife, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like Now, my next question is, how did you go from what happened connected, right? And how the hell did you come up with opening up a deli? You know, and I know it's more than that, right?
Oh yeah, but it is what it is. You're spot on.
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, I've always wanted to do food. My first job outside of like the New York shit was I was 13 years old. I took a summer gig at this place called the Sun and Moon Restaurant in Fire Island, New York, in Ocean Beach, New York. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad would take me. A friend of the family used to take me there, get the hell out of Brooklyn. Yeah. And it was like the fresh air club. Like take this kid out of Coney Island and actually go see what a real beach is and fresh air and sun. Long story short, I fell in love with cooking and I was 13. And going through the ropes and getting out of art and design, and my dad and I were not on the same page. I wanted to take time off. I didn't want to go to art school, and I started looking into culinary schools, and they were too much money. And sadly, like, I didn't have my shit together to get financial aid. I wasn't in the right place, and I really just had to start making money. Right. I was at a time where I was really like rebellious, and I wanted to do my own thing.
At what age was this?
I was like 19.
Yeah.
And so I missed a year of college, and I just fell in love with food forever. And then moving out super young, I always cooked for myself. But my mother is an amazing cook. I mean, obviously, that's where the whole thing came from. Yeah. And food was always in my back pocket. We got to a point at the agency where things were pretty cool, and I thought things were going really well. And I got bored. Sadly, the music businesses, like, budgets started, like, getting cut. And the world was a different place, Instagram and digital, and so you didn't need to spend money on physical.
How long was this run for Connected?
Connected's still going, thank God. But the run that was like really keeping us going, I would say, was till about 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay, and Connected's still the basic premise is guerrilla marketing, whether it be Wheat Paste, this audio thing. That's
how I started.
Yeah. And now?
And now we're like a brand partner, I would say. Mm-hmm. We come in and we legitimize what you're starting, if that makes any sense.
So I know you work with Two Robbers, for example.
Two Robbers.
Is that one of the...
Two Robbers was a double-edged sword for me. It was me believing in the brand. But for a while, what I was also doing was, because I was just getting bored, I was doing something that I wanted to call advestments. And I would make advertising investments in companies that I believed in. So I was printing 20,000 posters a month, and I was doing all this stuff. But I was like, you know what? Like, I believe in you guys, and you don't have the budget. All good. I'll do it for a year.
Right.
And if it goes anywhere, then you give me a percentage. If it doesn't, then all good. At least we had fun together. And like, I was just doing something that I believed in and I loved.
How many companies did you do that for?
I've done it for now about 7.
And which ones are some that we might have heard of?
Two Robbers is the one that I'm the most proud of today. Yeah. I was a part of another CPG brand that was amazing. The team was amazing. I think we were a little bit ahead of our time in like the health world, but we did something that we're super proud of to this day, which may come back. But the team was amazing, and I'm still doing it to this day, and I'm still like fine tuning and picking, but what we're doing is we're just reversing it and using it for ourselves now. Right. So we're using the advertising company and the umbrella to build brands internally, potentially more in hospitality. But that's where we're at.
So
today.
Your own hospitality ventures.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be your dream for Connected? I feel like a dream client or a dream project.
A dream client or a dream. That's a hard question, man.
I mean, I feel like you're very, very clear as to like who inspires you and the kind of products you want to work on. So I'd love to see like what's in your brain that's like the pinnacle of what you want to achieve.
I think a really great client for me. It's like a double-edged sword. So for me, like Stone Island is an amazing company that's so under-marketed that I would love to understand like what's under the hood of their car,
Stone
like
Island, what's
in marketing. They're like an apparel brand, but they're like a sailor-esque, but not brand that lives in the world of like, I don't want to say tech materials, but they're super keen on how they design their products. They're unbelievably monochromatic, which is something that I live and love. Mm-hmm. And I just think they're the most like, not under marketed, but they're the most intelligently marketed, I think, fashion brand in the world. And I think that you would have to really come to them with something interesting and innovative, or that speaks to the world differently. And then I think outside of that, man, I don't know. I think there's people that I would rather work. I would love to work alongside people than I think maybe behind the company. I think that's where I really,
as far as advising in a way,
like, just to see how they do what they do.
Right.
Like Neville Wakefield is probably one of the most impactful people in the world. No one, when you hear his name, if you know him, you know him. But the brands he touches and the artists he works alongside are some of the most influential brands and artists in the world. And it's cool. It would be cool to work alongside someone like that, or a George Lois, someone that's more behind the scenes.
So speaking to you now, I feel like you're always looking for more information. You're always reading up on stuff. I feel like, I mean, it's almost like you're starving for this information, right?
Yeah, I think that's what keeps you relevant and authentic. And it also keeps you like in your lane.
But at the same time, there's people who feel like they have to. And I feel like with you, it seems like it's natural. You're just finding stuff because you need it. You're absorbing it. Not like, I got to stay relevant. That's not your concern.
No. Yeah. I keep things in my pocket for so long. Yeah. It's kind of weird. I'm like a hoarder of information.
Yeah. I mean, the names you're dropping and the brand references you have, it's like a vault.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I truly love it. I truly love it. I don't know what is that like hoarder-esque thing.
I think it's an amazing quality to have. It's something that I think everyone might have their thing, and that's your thing. I admire that. I wish I had that level. I mean, I probably do with another topic, but
sure,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's what I love.
What do you? So you said you want to go into hospitality. From Connected, you kind of got bored. How did you come up with, like, out of all hospitality concepts, Regina's? I got to do this when I say Regina's.
I appreciate it. That means that we're doing the right thing. When you have like a feeling, it means that we're doing a good job. So it was the one thing that I was super, super close to. It actually started out as something different. And the reason why it started was I was doing these things for other brands and it was working really well. People were accepting it. People were believing in me, which felt really good. It felt really good. So I was like, you know what? If we could do this for someone else, why don't we just do it for ourselves?
Yeah.
And at that time, my office lease was up. And there was 100 things in New York that were also disappearing. Magazine stores were disappearing. Joe's Dairy was disappearing. All the old school, like, social clubs were dying off. And I was like, yo, this is a world that's going to disappear.
Yeah, it's going to become banks and pharmacies.
Yeah, or scoop and serve, right? All these bogus, like, whatever it might have been. And I was like, this can't be it. Right. And I was also just someone who lived and like loved New York City streets. Yeah. And I loved how they intersected, and I love how there was a color palette on them, and then just how they had this feeling. And I was always searching for a neighborhood.
I mean, I feel like Chris right here is a street photographer.
Oh, amazing.
I mean, I know he loves downtown. Chinatown is a lot of Chinatown, LES. Like,
Chinatown, LES, financial district, because the buildings and where the light comes in. And like I said, dude, you walk down the block, you can walk down that block 3 times and you'll see something different every time you see it.
Absolutely.
New shit's popping up, old shit's disappearing. Yeah. Just the random people you see.
The old shit stands out. I mean, the old stuff is what's got character. Yeah. And the fact that you recognize that. And where I grew up living in Weehawken, New Jersey, right? I went to school in Manhattan, and then I went to school in Hoboken. So Weehawken, Hoboken is home of Frank Sinatra. It's all these old school delis. Matter of fact, when I was 15 or 16, I worked in the Italian Deli on the corner of my block. And I was in charge of like cleaning the slicing machines and helping them make the fresh mozzarella, all that. I did that for like 3 months. So for me, it's nostalgic. Opening that up, that's not a Manhattan thing. That's a Brooklyn, that's a Jersey, that's a Queens thing.
Yeah,
Bronx thing.
I mean, yes, I do agree. It is a like a outer borough thing, if you would. But I felt like there was something that was beautiful about it.
100%.
So and I was like, I think that there's a way to do this. And
I mean, if I had to be honest, it shows real life. It shows real folks that work. It's where real folks who work their blue collar jobs or 9 to 5s. That's where they go get their food. That's where they want to get their sandwich or their Sunday, whatever it is.
Yeah. So in that turn, I was like, okay, how could I? And this is weirdly how my brain works to this day, and how one thing is always connected to the next, no pun intended. So I was like, all right, I'll take the agency where all these kids are hanging out anyway.
Yeah.
We're basically just sitting around thinking of cool shit to do, and we're throwing the ball back and forth. It's never like you come to my office and you have to work on your computer.
Right.
It wasn't like that. My office was nuts. At a certain time, there was hip-hop artists sleeping on the couch, this kid rolling joints over there.
So great you're saying that, because I'm reading, I just started a book, No Rules, Rules, a Netflix story. And it talks about how having too many rules and making sure everything's too structured kills creativity.
For sure.
Right. So that environment only breeds creativity.
So to that point, I was like, yo, why don't we just bring why don't we bring the office to the street?
Yeah.
And it was like, I was just going to open up a cafe that sold magazines.
Okay.
The idea kept going. My boy was like, bro, you always wanted to be in food. You have a knack for food. Why don't you do like a small sandwich shop? And I'll be like, okay, maybe we're going to call it Mama's Boy. And I was like, man, I was like super psyched. I was like, Mama's Boy. And I'm like, bro, we're the Guido fucking Subway. I'm like, we can't do this. Yeah. And then at that same time, I found the lease. I found the neighborhood, which is now called Dime Square, which I don't love the name, but we were like the first people there. And I'm like, yo, this is a neighborhood. No one realizes that this is the last neighborhood in New York.
Yeah.
It's cut off. No one knows where it is. When you say Orchard Street, people are like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, yo, we could bring back this old school thing that people need. They needed a place to go and feel safe. They needed a place to go and get a sandwich. They needed the basic shit of espresso, a grocery. I'm like, let's do it. And, you know, we were sitting down one day and we were like, yo, who better than Regina?
You're right.
And my mom harbored and took care of all of us when we were younger. You could have told her you shot someone and she'd be like, okay, listen, where'd you shoot them and how bad is it? And she would have helped us. So I was never scared of having her around.
Right.
And I found this store that I fell in love with. I lost it and I somehow got it. And I made a true investment onto Orchard Street. I took 2 leases in the same month.
2 leases? What do you mean?
Yeah, there was another store up the block that I just fell in love with for absolutely no reason, and I took it and we turned it into a barbershop, which I still own today.
Yeah, that's right.
With Anwar, who is my best friend from childhood as well and from the neighborhood. And then we took Regina's and we did them side by side. And I was like, yo, listen, I never made a sandwich before. I've always wanted to be in food. I said, how hard could it be? I said, at least every person that walks in here and buys an espresso, I'm $3 better than I was just having an office because nobody was buying shit.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. I was paying the rent anyway.
It was the same rent, similar?
It was a little more expensive, but
Storefront,
my office was going up anyway. So I was like, yo, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to bite the bullet and let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, if I can do this and I could do this for other people, then I think I can do it for myself. And I used every connection I had to blow Regina's up. And within the first 4 months, very good friend of mine to this day, Maxwell Osborne, thought it was a good idea to launch a fucking Jordan at Regina's. What? And he killed me. We made 700 sandwiches in one day, and within 4 months, the world wanted to know why did Jordan and public school launch a sneaker at an Italian deli. And it was just this wacky idea that we came up with. We did it. There was literally 700 kids outside, and that started the connected engine within Regina's. And then it started this chain reaction to where Dolce & Gabbana, everyone has ripped through the store. Yeah, that's authentic.
But it's not just because it's more than just an Italian deli. That's the thing. We talked about this again. It's the brand. It's with the social media. It's the references for the Goodfellas and all these movies. It's exactly the culture that people and the merch. You have amazing merch.
This is the rip from the beginning of the Goodfellas and the original Goodfellas shirt. It's usually never rat on your friends and always keep your mouth shut. Right. We did never rat on your friends and always eat Regina's. Yeah. This is finally a shirt that we're actually going to come out with, which I keep putting the pause on. But thank you, man, and yeah.
I mean, you've given me some tips for merch ideas and so on. You've also helped me out tremendously, introducing me to Crazy Cat. From, From
Hudson.
Yeah. So, if anyone ever asks, anyone on this show has to have been part of Outsiders in some way. And
got it.
You haven't attended yet, but we've done a bike ride starting from your place during the pandemic. It was actually my birthday bike ride. which next time I won't start at your place, we'll finish at your place.
Okay.
And then there was this Camp Here thing was amazing for us.
Yeah.
So what I know, listen, you got like 1 million locations now. How long have you had the original Regina's?
It's going on 7 years.
Really?
Yeah, it feels like it's
it feels
a
like
lot
longer.
less.
Yeah.
Oh, to me, it feels like a lot less.
For me, it feels longer because I take it as a compliment because I see like this. It takes a while to establish a brand and brand recognition. I mean, the fact that you had a Jordan release and all these different brand partnerships with Regina's makes me feel like it's been around forever. There's a familiarity with the brand. Therefore, you've done a successful job marketing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's 7. And we're still polishing the stone. I mean, I've still never really released any merchandise. And it sounds crazy. I've always like seeded stuff, but it's never actually it's never come out. It's always been given to friends, and I've really, really, really scared. And I have a tremendous respect for the food business. I'm a deli. I'm simple, but I still think that I've put every time I make a T-shirt, the amount of time and effort it takes to put out a T-shirt, I want to make sure that my sandwich is better. So I always go back and I'm always fine tuning it and I'm always making sure this and I'm looking at the size, the weight, the import, where it's coming from, how much time, how much every single thing. So I could come up with ideas all day. This is where my life is. This is instinctful to me. I can make a brand in 48 hours and I'll do a good job and I'm confident. You give me a computer, I'll make you a full clothing line. No problem.
Are you doing the designing as well?
Yeah, I'm now doing the inspirational design. I'm passing it off. But I'm definitely coming up with all of the seed designs right now. But I'm looking for a team just because I'm also getting sick of my designs and I want to see. I'm almost more interested in what I said about working with someone to see them do something for Regina's and not like it, to know that what I really do like is what I like. Right. Because I've been looking at the same thing for so long, or I've been looking through it through that lens. So that's where I'm getting super collaborative today. But yeah, I think that's been my biggest pet peeve, but for the first time, I'm going to put product out. And I really, really wanted to own a great sandwich. I didn't want you to come to Regina's, take a picture, buy a T-shirt, and be like, yeah, sandwich is okay, but it's cool. So it's
only about the brand hype.
I can't do that. Yeah, I really, really needed to sell a great sandwich. And again, that's the reason why there's a couple of them and they're doing well. And that's really what I want to do. I want to serve sandwiches. I would like.
You also doing pizzerias?
I've done a pizzeria. I'm doing a new pizzeria, which this might be the first time I'm ever saying the name.
Know what? I think we know about that. We ran into Julian Cavan at B&H, and he was telling us a little about it. He didn't tell us many details, but yeah.
So this is the first time I'm saying the name, which I would like to get your reaction on, but it's going to be called Stupid Romans. It's going to be another project that I put myself into. And we're going to do like a bad Roman style pizza, if that makes any sense. So if you're familiar with Roman style pizza, it's an oblong, it's a mix of flours, it's lighter, it's not as heavy. But no one's doing it in the way that I would like to do it. I don't want to enter the slice game. I have no business in the slice game. I know who the best in the slice game is. I love him dearly, and I love both of them dearly. And if they own that game, I would like for them to help me. But they're the best. It's Nikki and Mossy. They're unbelievable in everything that they do. I think
where's the pizzeria at?
The Industry.
Okay.
There's one in Williamsburg and one in the West Village now. They hold that crown, and it's their game. It's such an amazing game. I want to enter the game in a more fun and different way. So we're just going to do a pie. We'll cut it in half. You could have half or a whole.
Right.
We inherited these ovens, so why not have some fun? Yeah. And it's one step closer to being more in the restaurant business, which is what I was saying is I have a tremendous love for everyone that's a chef and a cook. Listen, I make sandwiches. I love what I do. And my next step is to do a restaurant and develop a beautiful family to produce that restaurant. But I want to take my necessary steps in doing so before. I just think, I could rent a lease and put chairs in a room and be like, yeah, I got this. It's not the way I want to go. So that's where Regina's is going today. Flip side to finally putting out like a T-shirt that's fun.
So wait, one, why that name, Stupid Romans, right?
Because I do think it's another one of my stupid ideas, and I think it's funny, and I really just want to have fun with this one. I'm not going to over-exercise. Like, I think the brand identity is going to be exactly what it is. I know it's hard to understand that, but it's literally going to be my handwriting. I'm not stressing. I'm not going to a design. I'm not doing anything. The design is what it is. Yeah. And it's the first time I'm doing something like this, and I want it to be raw.
Unpolished.
And
everything's so polished these days. Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea.
I'm the worst speller in the United States. So it's also going to probably have 100 like misspelled things. And instead of having to have things reprinted, which I sadly had to do 100 times, this is going to be what it is, man. If I spell it wrong, this is what it is. It's called Stupid Romans for a reason. Like, I want to have fun. I want to enjoy myself. And I don't want to have any restraints to anything. It's not going to be a 20-inch pie. If the pie comes out 16 inches and the next one's 17, guess what, dude? Like, you got an extra inch. You take it or leave it.
Right.
So that's kind of the game.
I like that idea. Okay. I mean, in that regard, great name.
Thank you.
So I know you mentioned, if you could reiterate, what's your visions for Regina's?
The vision for Regina's right now is to become your home style deli. And I want it to be I want you to have trust that you can go there and get exactly what you expect in any regard. So I want you can go get the best pasta, best sandwich, best mozzarella, best piece of bread. Keep me at your basic level. Yeah. It's Italian American. It's classic. It's simple. And I want you to always know that we'll always be there for you.
Do you ever want to dabble in fine dining?
I am. That's where I'm going next.
Yeah.
I'm going there next. Yeah. That's where I'm going to go next. But I'm going to take a lot of I'm going to do my homework prior to stepping into that world. We just did our first, I don't want to say fine dining event, but seated event.
I saw that.
So Sunday sauce.
I'd love an invite to the next one.
I got you, man.
Great.
Thank you, man. Amazing. Thank you. It was really off the cuff and off the whim. I didn't do a great job of inviting everyone that I should, but I just looked at like my immediate text messages, and I was like, who could I get in this room?
Good. Yeah.
And I did, we did like about 100 people, but it was really more for the staff to see if we could take our recipe that my mother still doesn't have perfected because she still has to taste it to make sure it's perfect, to a mass scale. And we did 100 people. We loved it. We're gonna start doing them once a month for the year. We brought in beautiful
with
partners.
You a version of that in the outdoors.
Let's do it.
We did.
That'll be amazing.
We pitched this thing, Dinner in the Wild with Bullet.
Okay.
And it went really well. This was the second year we did it, but I want to do whatever we can do in the city and bring it out to nature. We got new merch that came out. Nature's a new nightclub.
Okay.
So I want to take that theme and keep pushing with it.
I got another name for you. Like I said, I would love to, but his name is Francis Malman.
I know. We did that. That's who inspired us. I saw his chef's table. Yeah. So the inspiration was to use natural elements, and that's exactly what inspired me for the first one.
That's who I would, dream to be.
And the reason why I did it was because I thought it was an amazing, beautiful idea. I mean, the experience visually and just the food and all that. But how are people going to get to it in Patagonia? So let's bring it here.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's chefs that could do it. So we've done 2 already. Worked with Russell Marcus. This guy is a chef we met through Manolo Lopez, and we also worked with this other guy we met through Kat.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that would be, again, that's like my back pocket in terms of food, but I love open fire. I love all that stuff. That's where the restaurant will go. It's going to be a protein. It's going to be like an Italian flip to something very interesting that's not existing in this world, it's going to have a huge brand element, which is just how I operate. And I think it's experience, but I'm going to treat it the same way. I'm not going to put a plate on that table until I know it's better than what I put out today in comparison at my at the deli. Yeah. I take a lot of pride in that for what it is.
Yeah, you can tell when you go there. It's made with love.
Thank you.
Another update in your life. You're married with a kid now. You're a family man.
Yes, my family. It's everything to me. Yeah, she's my partner in crime. She's gonna be, I think, more involved in this stuff, in the restaurant stuff. What
does she do?
She's a marketing genius kind of. As I don't know how else to describe it, but I think she has one of like the most laser focused eyes for creativity and just for like authentic like production, if that way. It's hard to like put your finger on it.
Well together, is ever butting heads on that?
Oh, she's the boss when we work together.
Yeah.
But she's another one that when she believes in something, she believes in it. So we sometimes could say that we would bump heads in that sense, but she's producing something that she 100% stands behind and believes in. And so will I. Yeah. So we just got to find out how to communicate with each other. And it's more of a visual thing than it's a verbal thing. Because you see it, it's hard to say it, right? Like when you draw, it's easy to draw something. But how would you say what you were to draw and you get that vision? Right. So I think that's where we have our like discrepancies, because she sees it complete and I see it a certain way. And we don't have the words to say like, yo, we're probably saying the same thing. Right.
You know what helps with that? Is that I'm looking into a potential hospitality thing myself.
Okay.
AI, like those like ChatGPT, the ones that generate images and stuff like that. I've been able to get more inspiration by trying to put my vision down. It's not exactly what I'm envisioning, but it's starting to get the message across. Sure. So try using that.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, so she's basically gonna be what polishes the stone for the fine dining. Nice. She has a natural knack for it. She loves it. And I think just what we want to do is create family environments. We have a name, we have a vision, we have everything kind of on paper. We just want to take the necessary steps to get there without just like bursting through the door. And these dinners and these private dinners and more of like real cooking, I think will stem that.
That's right. I think you're doing it in a great way. You're getting like
thank you.
Proof of concept with these pop-ups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the deal. And I said I can't do anything that I don't know 100%.
Right.
So
that's what you see the future is, hospitality and incorporating all these elements of brand, because they all tie together, right? Most restaurants have to hire somebody to do the marketing aspect, the brand aspect, or you're doing all in house and doing it your way and also saving money that way.
Yeah, I think that's where we see, that's where we put all of our ingredients together.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the future is for us. And I think for me, we invested time in this, and we're always going to find a company that I see is interesting. I'm always going to find someone I think is interesting and want to support them in whichever way possible. But I think this is it. And this is the best thing, I think, for my family right now, is to narrow the focus and just keep moving.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because there's that balance between, and we were just talking about it with the previous interviews, between having that perfected product and then also getting it out on time.
Yeah.
Right? What's the balance?
Absolutely.
It can't be perfect, but it has to be enough to where you can get it out there. So seems like you kind of got both in a way, but who's the one that is more of the pusher? Who's the perfectionist in the relationship?
It's really we're so similar in that sense.
Sounds like it.
We're super, super similar in that sense. She's an unbelievable pusher. She wants to get it done.
Right.
If you say it, it's got to get done.
Right.
And with her, that's the best thing, is that there is no like procrastination. With me, ever since the baby, I'm a little more of a procrastinator. Yeah. I'm scared today. Like back in the day, I would do anything. I was DJing at night, selling sneakers in the morning, and designing a magazine at 3 o'clock. I didn't care. Now I'm like, hold on a second. I'm going to really spend time on this and polish. Where she's like, yo, let's get it done. Let's get it out, and let's move to the next one. Yeah. She was definitely she made Sunday sauce happen. If it wasn't for her, it wouldn't have happened.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to come to the next one.
Yeah.
All right. So we've touched on a lot of topics in your life. It's been great to see an overall picture of how you've ended up where you are. Because I mean, the kid I met, and I think it was in like Retox or Quo, whatever that club was.
Yeah.
I mean, you told me who you were, because I think we got put in touch in text to who you are now, man. It's a huge journey, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen the progress, and it's admirable, man. And I'm really impressed by what you've done.
Thank you.
Let's get into some other questions. So what do you do for fun? I mean, you have your son now, right? So I guess spending time with him is super important.
Yeah, it's spending time with him, and honestly, like becoming, like I don't want to say a New Yorker again, but becoming like, I don't know. Finally, me and Angela went out to a comedy club. I'd never been to a comedy club before. She took me to a comedy club last night for the first time.
Your wife?
Yeah. She was the first time. She was like, yo, let's go do something. Let's go do something fun. It was like being on a date again, because I'm a robot. A new restaurant opens, I go, we sit down, we have dinner, and we leave. And she was like, yo, like it was like literally being on like a first date again. It was crazy. It's such a fun new experience, so cool. So it was awesome.
I admire, I mean, you post photos or you repost photos she takes.
Yeah.
The relationship you guys have is something I strive for one day.
Thank you.
Like, and then like you said, like having somebody to bring you back to living life, right?
Yeah.
Not just being the same routine, because that's easy to do when you're an entrepreneur. Like sticking to your discipline, you get stuck with that, you know? And then you lose touch with those things that got you inspired in the first place.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's what we're doing for fun. We're looking for real fun and just enjoying our time.
I need
enjoying
you guys
the
to
baby.
come out to one of our outings.
We'll do it.
Yeah, please.
We'll do
Actually, I got one for you. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
If you could find a sitter for a weekend, I got you guys.
All right.
Let's see. What would you tell high school you? What advice would you give high school you?
Oh, man. What would I tell the high school me? To become friends with an accountant very early. Wait. My high school me would understand.
What happened? Tell me.
It's just something that is really, you have to be ahead of. And there's like a couple of things that I just learned, like being in the business. It's like working on your business versus working for your business is a huge thing to me. And it's something I live by. And working on your business, you learn all these things. Working for your business, you never see any of it, right? Because your head's down, and whether you be painting a mural or making sandwiches, right? You just plow through, and you're like, today's over, next.
Yeah.
Working on your business, you're like, yo, did I lose money there? Did that guy not get the right order?
Right.
Did this guy not get an email? Did this happen? So on and so forth.
You're talking about something I learned by reading this book called E-Myth Mastery, right? So instead of being the technician in your business, so it's a great book because it tells a story, an anecdotal story, and that's how you learn the lesson of the book. Sure. About a baker who wants to open up multiple bakeries, right? But she's baking. She can't. She's always the one with her head down baking the bread or whatever it is. So in order to copy and paste and repeat and scale, you gotta be the one overseeing the business as opposed to making the business.
Yeah, and that's huge.
Yeah. It's you would have told yourself in high school that's nuts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you already working for yourself.
Yeah, I was already doing crazy shit in high school where I had some money and I just should have been a little bit more better.
Yeah,
smarter.
Yeah, we won't ask you to share what you were doing in high school. What is a dream that you've yet to achieve? You might have touched on this. I guess it's the hospitality aspect, but is there anything else?
A dream that I want to achieve?
Yeah, that you haven't yet?
Honestly, man, I think I'm living a dream. I have an amazing son. I have an amazing partner, wife. I have an amazing family. I have a business I'm proud to stand in front of. Everybody wants more. Everybody dreams of more, right. But that's what dreams are for.
Yeah.
Right? Like this dream, my reality is my dream.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy to be where I am.
And your son, by the way, looks just like you.
Thank you.
You're a twin.
Thank you. Hope that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's special, man. You got to meet him. He's fun.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Well, we're in the North Face showroom, as you can see behind me.
Yeah.
Never stop exploring.
I love it.
So I want to ask you, how do you incorporate exploration in your life?
Ooh, with education. I think the more exploring I do, the more I educate myself when it's looking down another street and seeing how that street operates and it moves. Every street moves a certain way, and I think growing up the way we grew up, you know how a street moves and you can tell how that street like operates.
Yeah.
And I think that's really super interesting. And I think exploring and traveling, which is another thing that, my wife does gets me out of New York.
Yeah.
She took me to Italy actually for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
You had been to Italy before?
Damn.
And she's Greek, right?
She's Greek. Yeah. So she got me out and like exploring, and it's true. Getting out and really, really exploring changes even I'm sure all your events give people a new light and something to look back to and be like, yo, like I needed this space, I needed this time, I needed the air.
Yeah.
You need these things.
I feel one of the rewarding things about doing what I do is I provide this platform where people can take these trips, whereas maybe they don't have someone to take these trips with, or they wouldn't know where to start planning. And I'm taking people to Iceland, Zion National Park, Sardinia, Puerto Rico, Cape Town, South Africa, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Japan. We've done all these places. We're going to Portugal. We're going to Sardinia again. We're doing Portugal in August. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. Like, talking about living a dream. That's it. I just need to get more stability, financial security with outsiders. But a lot of these new cities are new, so it'll come. But
sure,
I love what we're doing. So I understand. And you're lucky to have a partner, a wife that is able to take you out to these places.
Yeah.
All right, this is my favorite question. What's your most embarrassing moment?
My most embarrassing moment.
I don't take you for one that gets embarrassed easily either.
I don't. So I have two. They're not really that embarrassing. So I almost fell off the One Oak stage in Vegas DJing.
Okay.
Which was pretty embarrassing. But no, I don't know if it was that really my fault. The stage wasn't fully built, and I almost fell off.
Do you DJ anymore?
I don't DJ anymore. I don't even. Yeah. No, I don't DJ anymore. I don't DJ anymore. I can still DJ, but no. Yeah. I think about it all the time. I still dream of music, and I catch mixes here in my head sometimes, but no, I don't DJ anymore. And I think the secondary most embarrassing moment, I would say, it's not not crazy embarrassing, but I was doing a photo shoot when Regina's first opened. We'll keep it on topic. And I dropped the Provolone, and somehow when I dropped it, I hit the slicer and zipped my finger, slipped my finger. Oof. And it was like a Grubhub photo shoot, and I fucking passed out, dude.
You did?
Yeah, I went to the corner. I was getting dizzy, and there's a corner store. I don't know. I think I was just super nervous and embarrassed that they were taking photos of the sandwiches, and it was for Grubhub, and I iced myself. Yeah. And I ran to the corner store. I remember oh shit, I started getting the cold sweat, and I was like, let me get out of the store and go get an orange juice. I ran to the corner store, got an orange juice, and fainted. I remember waking up at the deli and drinking the whole orange juice, wrapping my finger, and just going straight back in. I was pretty mortified and embarrassed.
Jeez.
But I think that's.
It's funny. I talk about when I ask this question. There's embarrassing, funny, and there's embarrassing oh, that's embarrassing. But that's embarrassing, almost scary, right? I've never passed out in my life. I've come close a couple times.
Oh yeah, I'm a fainter.
You've passed out a bunch?
Yeah. I don't know why, dude. I passed out a lot.
Get that checked.
Not recently, but when I was in my younger years, I just didn't stop. Yeah. And then my lights would just go out.
Really?
It would just be oh, you're going down. Yeah, I fainted in KFC. I was when I was skating.
Speaking of lights going out, I know you do jiu-jitsu, but you also put a few people's lights out a couple times.
Yeah. I'm retired. Yeah. I'm retired now, and jiu-jitsu was a huge part of my life. I broke my shoulder a little bit after. I got into
the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I got ran over, and it wasn't fun. All settled now. And all good, but I broke my shoulder. Didn't get a chance to go back to jiu-jitsu fully. I think I could, but I've started boxing again.
Yeah, you did boxing first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I'm fully retired as a street fighter. Gleason's has been my home forever since high school.
Really?
Yeah.
So it would be welcoming to I boxed 2 years. I'm still a beginner. If I want to stop by there, get a workout in.
Oh yeah, it's great.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the last segment of this interview is a series of 5 rapid fire questions. So you know how that works. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's your favorite city other than New York City?
Favorite city other than New York City is Rome.
Rome, yeah. And then you went there for the first time with your wife recently, right?
Yep. I went there almost 2 years ago now, but now I would think that's my favorite city.
What's your favorite part about it?
It's oddly a history book meets New York City.
Really?
It's the two my two favorite things in the world. You walk into the Apple Store, and it's like a cathedral. You know what I mean? It's really? A Colosseum. You walk into a sandwich shop. It's from 400 years ago, and then across the street's the Pantheon. Right. It's everything you want in one central location. I know people have their qualms about Rome, but there's restaurants that I know that are super new, and there's restaurants that are a million years old, and it's one of my favorite places in the world.
That's my list. I've been to Milan, I've been to San Remo, I've been to a few other cities.
Rome
is there.
I love it.
All right, that's my next stop, I guess. If you could do any other profession, what would you do?
Any other profession? Man, I always wanted to be a stockbroker. I don't know.
What was your motivation? Was it like movie Wall Street or something?
Boiler Room.
Huh? Boiler Room? Yeah, that was a great movie. And why am I not surprised?
I don't know. I was there. I was like, yo, I could, and ABC, man. I was selling, kids bubble gum when I was a kid, so I could sell anything. So I think that would be it.
Always be closing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know that. Okay. What's your vice?
My vice, man. My wife will agree, or probably have said it before me, was dessert.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have many vices.
Right.
I think growing up in the world that we grew up, like I stopped drinking because we were doing it 7 nights a week, and I was kind of scared of the other shit. So it's definitely probably dessert.
Yeah.
Donuts.
The donuts. Okay. Well, what's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear. Whew, that's a great question. Man, it's a hard one to answer. I'm scared of a lot of shit. My greatest fear.
What's the first that comes to mind?
Fuck, man. Honestly, it's probably everyone's fear. It's like passing away.
Death,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't even like the word. But
wow.
yeah, I think that's my super fear. And I think failing my family is a huge one. Like, or
You said that. Are you a hypochondriac?
Not really, but I think about it here and there. But I think it's something you just don't want to. I don't want to leave what I have. Yeah. I guess
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, listen, that's like the most basic fear, right? If
Yeah,
you're
it's
not afraid of death, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I'm scared of 100 things, but I mean, my greatest fear, I think, would be that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last question, I guess this is your vice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
So my favorite food, I think we have.
We got Chris. You good?
I found this out recently that not everyone knows what Entenmann's.
You know what? I was gonna say, is it regional? Is it only New York?
I don't know.
I used to get that. East Coast.
Yeah.
I used to get that growing up all the time.
So my favorite food in the world is steak.
Right.
Obviously, I couldn't bring that here today.
Right. What kind of steak, by the way? What cut?
Man, I'll take. I mean, I'm really into anything, but bone-in ribeye is probably my move.
That's a good one.
But I'm pretty flexible because I probably shouldn't do this, but I could eat steak like 4 times a week.
Really?
So I would just flip-flop to
I
whatever
don't
cut it
understand
was.
why people like love a filet mignon, like no fat on it. It's got no taste, in my opinion. I'd rather get a fatty, fatty cut.
I agree. I think there's that, and then there's certain places that just do like amazing things with proper or different. Like St. Anselm has the bar steak. It's amazing. It's just like like more of a left cut, or like I don't want to miss the navigation, but it's amazing. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of fat on it, but it's great.
And you never went to culinary school?
No.
So everything you learned was through
making a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
School of hard knocks.
Yeah.
So what is this you brought?
So Entenmann's Donuts makes a devil food crumb donut.
Okay.
It's extremely hard to get. But this is the
Entenmann's
double.
one is hard to get?
Yeah, it's
really
weird. It's like sold out everywhere, not sold. It's like sold in like hood grocery stores, or I'm not sure if that's the right terminology anymore, but not Gristedes.
Right.
Like a C-town. Like that's what I grew up in, and this was like prime aisle for me.
Yeah.
So they made a devil foods cake crumb. So they have like these little crumbs on it. No, this isn't it. You can't get it. The guy said he hasn't seen it in a long time, but he was very happy that they came out with these, which are devil's food cake, double chocolate, which is very similar. It just has like instead of this like a glazed design, they were fully glazed, and the crumbs were glazed as well. But it's predominantly the same exact.
So what is this
donut? This was the icing on top when you eat too much of anything or too much steak. It's a digestive.
Yeah.
And this was a gift for you from the shop.
Oh,
so
appreciate that.
Whenever you eat too much, drink too much, or have a stomach ache, this is what goes on the table after every of your heavy meals, and it's like the Italian Alka-Seltzer, and it's super interesting.
And how's it consumed?
But this is you're supposed to put it in water.
Yeah.
But I think we're over the age that we could just go for it. Just eat like
really?
4 or 5 of them. Yeah. And that would be my. That's like my least.
Galeffi?
Yeah, that's my least favorite, like least talkable favorite product in the food world. But this is definitely what I grew up on. They're hilarious now that they're individually wrapped, which should have been.
Yeah, why are they? I just noticed that. Why are they individually wrapped?
I don't know. It's probably like to put in my son's lunchbox. But I think that's. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's maybe the way it should have been instead of just like a.
I remember. Entenmann's to me is super nostalgic, and most importantly because when I was in college, I went to Hunter College in Manhattan.
Okay.
And I didn't have enough money to eat lunch at school, and if I brought lunch, it'd be gone in the morning. I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
So I'd get home, and I played ball at Hunter College, and there was no meal plan, so I'd get home starving, and my mom would leave leftovers for me to get home late, and then I was so hungry I'd eat 2 plates, and then there was a whole Entenmann's chocolate cake with frosting, and I ate
it's the marshmallow devil food
in one sitting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And damn, if I try to do that right now, it'd be problems.
Oh yeah. Same. But yeah, that's kind of what I grew up on.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I'll try one. Why not? And then so this is what I grew up on. This would be my favorite. This would be my favorite food outside of like. I don't know. You know what? You're my mom's food or this or that. This was like a treat.
I mean, for me, me to have. It was like Entenmann's or like Hostess Twinkies and shit like that. That was the move.
Yeah, like Hostess, I liked. I'm a weirdo. Like I guess I was a weirdo from when I was a kid, but I didn't like the Hostess logo, so I didn't mess with. I was like very logo centric, and the fact that this was like super felt like very old and authentic to me. Yeah. I loved the old script and
that's so interesting.
But I was a weirdo.
From as a kid, you felt this way.
Yeah, there's like a duck or something on like one of the Hostess things. There's like
no, that was Drake's.
Or
Drake's cakes.
Yeah, I didn't like
that
any
was
of
whack. Drake's brand was terrible. I could say the same thing, but Hostess felt more legit. Like for me was Nintendo over Genesis for sure. Nike over Reebok. North Face over whatever because North Face was like the shit. So and it still is, guys. Thank you, by the way.
Steep Tech changed my life.
Yeah. I remember having preferences over brands, and to this day, those brands are still my preferences.
Yeah.
I still prefer, like I said, North Face. I'm not gonna mention other competition, but North Face is the one that speaks to me in an urban environment and also in outdoors, and respected in both.
Yeah, absolutely. So North Face held a huge, what you were saying for a second, but they held a huge. Flag in the market of from graffiti to style to everything. And they were.
I associate the North Face, and I keep on having to say the North Face because it's the North Face with 90s Wu-Tang and then Timberland because it's all under the same umbrella. Sure. To me, it's like what I remember. That was my high school time.
Yeah. Same.
So. And it's been a lot of brand talk here.
Yeah.
A lot of stories. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll have to talk more and do the collab. But most of all, thank you for taking the time to stop by here.
Thank you, sir.
Guys, go eat at Regina's. Look out for Stupid Romans. And great name. Don't lose it. And it fits the aesthetic that you're talking about.
Thank you very much.
But stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, man.